Welcome back, handymen and women. Today's video is likely the most important one I've ever done, and I think in the future I'm going to look back on this as still having been the most important video that I've ever put out on this channel. So you guys have clicked on a video about how to make $1,000 a day as a handyman, and I'm here to tell you, you can do it. You can absolutely have $1,000 a day as a handyman. In fact, it's not even hard to do. I promise you, once you get into this and you start gaining the experience, setting up $1,000 day is actually going to be one of the easiest things you can do. You can just decide, hey, I'm going to set up $1,000 day and I'm going to go make that happen. And to tell you the truth, it feels good. Feels really good to come home at the end of $1,000 day. It's even fun to go make that $1,000 in the day, because to do that you have to be good, and when you pull it off, it's just a little reminder that you've worked hard and you've made it somewhere that you've been trying to get. So by the end of this video, I promise you, you will know not only how to make $1,000 a day, you're going to know multiple different ways to set up $1,000 day for yourself. But before I give you that, you're going to have to listen to a little bit of something else, because I can't ethically tell you how to do that without first making sure you understand a few other things that I believe are vitally important. I get messages literally every day now. This channel's not even huge. I'm at like 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers, something like that. It's not a giant channel, and yet despite its size, I'm getting messages every day via email mostly, and also in the comments, where y'all are letting me know that you have either, number one, quit your job to start your handyman business, you've got your LLC started, or you're currently a handyman but you're trying to move into property management. But my point is, I'm reminded on a daily basis that the words I say when I speak to you, that y'all are listening to them and that y'all are taking action on these words. And I love to hear it, because so far it seems like every time the story is a story of success, and the message is usually a thank you. But I go to bed at night, I literally go to bed at night, sometimes very scared, because I recognize the responsibility that if you're listening to me and I tell you a bunch of bullshit, I can hurt you and I can hurt your family. So I'm promising you I'm not going to tell you that bullshit, and I'm going to have to give these caveats first. So I just want to give you some background. I have identical twins that are going to turn 10. I have identical twins that are going to turn 2 in June. I have a 7-year-old. I have a wife. And they all depend on me. We're a very traditional family. My wife doesn't work. She stays home to take care of the babies, because that's the best that's for the babies, because nobody is going to take care of them the way their mother does. My wife trusts me. She trusts. She doesn't know what I do in detail all day, every day, but she trusts that if she does her part in this household, if she literally runs this entire household and raises our children to the best that she can and focuses on that, she trusts that I'm going to focus on providing and protecting them, because that's my job. And we both have to trust each other to do that. So I'm not going to lie to you on this video. I'm going to give you exactly the answers you want, like an adult. But what I hope is that by the end of this video, you walk away with a larger understanding of not how to make a bunch of money, but what your goals should be to be successful in this business in a big way and in a long-term way, so that you can provide for your family. And that doesn't matter if you're not married or if you don't have kids. You might be someday. Maybe your kids are grown and you're divorced. The point is, if you're here to figure out how to succeed in this business, that's the purpose of this channel. And I'm not going to lie to you about how to do that, because if I do, you're going to let me know. And I'm the type of person that if you let me know that I ruined your life and your business failed and you had to go back to a low-paying job and sell your truck or move your family into a smaller apartment instead of the bigger rental house you were in, that's real stuff. So with that all being said, let's move forward, because I am going to tell you how to do your $1,000 days, and then I'm going to tell you something much, much, much bigger that's going to provide the value that I think you came to this channel for. So as far as $1,000 days, these are not hard, guys. They're really not. I'm going to give you a few different ways to do that. Number one is high margin work times having enough jobs. And by high margin work, what I mean is electrical is high margin, plumbing is high margin. There are certain jobs, pumping septic tanks, you can get rich doing that. That's a high margin job, and the reason it's a high margin, all of these jobs that are high margin, it's because of one of two things. Either there are not enough people with enough skill to do these jobs. There's literally just a labor and knowledge shortage. So you put yourself in a very great position by having the knowledge and the tools and the processes to do them so that you can make that money. And then it's just a matter of doing enough of them per day. And for most of these, electrical, plumbing, things like that, you know, you should be looking at something close to $200 an hour because there aren't enough of them. And your clients do need that work performed, and they do understand that they're probably going to pay just as much to have somebody else do it. So if you've gained them as a client and you can set those jobs up, that's really not very hard to do. And it's unfortunately it's a boring answer, but literally, let's say unclogging a toilet. It's going to take you less than an hour. You can charge $200 for it. You can do 5 of them a day, and there's your $1,000. It's unfortunately a very boring but very simple answer, and it's a very true answer. Next, charge $1,000 to do work that must get done. Must get done. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say there's a few clienteles you're looking for this kind of work. Number one is somebody who's flipping properties. A person who's flipping a property, they're typically going to be cheap and they're going to want to hire cheap guys, but if they've been doing it, they also have figured out that cheap guys do shit work and screw them over. So what you want to do is, if you can get on with either realtors who are selling properties that need just a little bit of flipping done on them, or flippers who are buying and selling properties as the main base model of their business, and you can come in and be the guy who's able to just give them what they have to have because they're losing money until they get this house flipped. So be the guy who gives them what they need in a way that nobody else can, and simply charge $1,000 for it. Another way is to charge $1,000 for just work that no one will take. This is the horrible, horrible, shitty work. You know, if somebody needs, let's say you're in a part of the country that has the old, like, ceramic septic pipes that are breakable and that leak and break all the time, and you have to get in there and dig that out by hand. You can charge that kind of money to do that kind of work simply because nobody else wants to do it. So that's another easy way to do it. Another way, one of my favorite ways, because I do enjoy $1,000 days and I try to put them together every now and then, it's mostly just, for me, it's like a gift to myself. It's like, hey Ray, you deserve a nice, prideful day. Let's put together a $1,000 day. So here's how I do it. I have all these property managers that send me all of this work all the time, and some of these jobs are 3 or 4 item punch lists. Some of these jobs are big move outs. Some of these jobs are big, like somebody wants an entire apartment painted and they want it painted quickly. But one of my favorites is the small jobs, the one-offs. When you have a work order that says there's a smoke detector that's beeping and needs a battery change, but it's on a high ceiling. Well, right away I know I'm going to charge $125 to do that, and I know it's only going to take a few minutes. Let's say somebody has a leaky sink, and they've specifically stated that this sink is leaking from the drain pipe, and they know that it is. Well, I know I'm going to have that fixed in about 15 or 20 minutes and be out of there and make $125. You've got this long list of just all these jobs that you know are super easy. They're going to take you 5 to 20 minutes. It's easy to carry the inventory for them. You have a pretty good idea, like closet slider doors that have popped off the track. You're going to be able to fix that very, very quickly, even if it needs a new track on top. So you can just string these together. But, and this is kind of the point too, is when you see these videos and these guys are saying they're making $1,000 a day, they're not saying, I make $1,000 day in and day out, 5 or 6 days a week, every single day that I go out. That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're clickbaiting you into finding out how to make that $1,000 a day, because they understand that you're thinking when you click on this video that you're going to be able to go and do that, that's going to be like a routine part of your life. And it very well may be. If you're in the right city, you know, I would imagine if you're in Austin right now, you can probably make that money. Austin is booming so fast that there cannot be enough people who know how to do this work. So perhaps you can. Perhaps there will be phases in your career where making $1,000 a day every day is very feasible for you. I can tell you there are tradesmen, and I mean master tradesmen, absolute masters, the guys who have put in the time and put in the energy, who have paid for the thousands of dollars worth of specialized tooling, specialized diagnostic equipment, all the great stuff, that have put the time in. They can make $1,000 a day because they're the best at what they do. So that's another way to make $1,000 a day, is pick one field. Don't be a handyman. Go specialize. You may even need to go through an apprenticeship for like a year or two with somebody while you're also working on the side to build up that experience. But you can make $1,000 a day doing that. But at this point in the video, I'd like to move on. So if you just came here to figure out how to make $1,000 a day, I wish you luck. You should probably just click off now, because what I'm going to tell you next is not how to make $1,000 a day, but how to make 600 to 800, maybe up to 1,000 per day, but how to make that money consistently over time. Because 10 $1,000 days per year is worthless if you're making 75,000 per year. What's more valuable is, how about if you make 800 per day, and you do, on average 800 per day, and you do that day after day, let's say 4 or 5 days a week, and maybe some of those days, maybe there's an extra day or two in there where you made 400. There's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, what do you want more? Do you want to make $1,000 a day, or do you want to make $165,000 annually, and do that annually year after year after year? So this channel is called Bulletproof Handyman Business. And what's funny is, when I wrote that title, the idea for this channel was not that the handyman is bulletproof, it's that the business is bulletproof. And bulletproof doesn't mean absolutely indestructible. If you go buy a bulletproof vest, it's going to be rated up to a certain number of hits by a certain caliber. Because the idea is, bulletproof, it's just a way to keep you from dying when you get shot. It's not a way to keep you from getting shot. And there's a lot of things that will shoot you in this industry. So what I want to go over with you, now that we've gotten past the how to make $1,000 a day, which is one of the easiest things to do, let's go over the more important thing, which is how to make far more money than you ever imagined you'd be able to make, and make that money consistently year after year after year. So how do we do that? Well, the bottom line, I think, is going to be just the thing that you cannot get past. If you want to be charging $1,000 a day, or 800 a day, or 600 a day, it doesn't matter what number you want to choose, go for it, be motivated. But if you want to charge that money, the first thing you're going to need, you cannot make that money without clients. So your question really needs to be, how do I develop loyal clients who are going to be happy to pay me this money over time? And there's a few other questions we're going to get into. That's not what all this video is about. But it's the most important thing, because if you don't have clients willing to pay you that money, you're not going to make it. And I'll tell you, one of the best ways to lose those clients, when you find the good clients that are willing to pay you the premium for what you do, the easiest way to lose them is to start overcharging. It's to get greedy. It's to sit down and say, hey, you know what? I can make $1,000 a day because I'm their handyman and they don't have another handyman, and I'm worth it, and they'll pay me what I charge. Because the problem here is, you're correct. They will pay you what you charge if they don't have another handyman. If they have to have you and there isn't somebody else, because the truth is, most handymen suck and they're not reliable and they're not doing good work. If they have to have you, then absolutely you can charge what you want. But here's what you need to keep in mind. There's a guy like me out there somewhere coming behind you, ready to take your job. And the first guy that tries to take your job, he's probably going to fail because he just doesn't have what it takes. And the second guy to take your job, he's probably going to fail and he doesn't have what it takes. But one day, someone like me and someone like my viewers, the guys on this channel who have been here for a while, I can tell by the questions they ask, and I can tell by what they're telling me they're doing, and I can tell by the consistency at which they watch these videos and then come back with very, very detailed and valid questions that tell me that they're really thinking things through. They're going to take your job. They absolutely are. I have a handyman right now, at least one I'm sure, who's taken some work from me from a property manager. I'm confident that property manager is going to come back because I know what it takes to do what I do, and I know that most guys don't have what it takes. So I believe whoever it is, if I'm correct, they're trying hard. But I highly doubt that they're going to be consistent over the next few months enough for that property manager to feel that the little bit of money that they're saving because this guy probably costs less than me is going to be worth it. So here's your job. Your job is to become indispensable to your property managers. And this applies to homeowners as well. You can do the same thing with homeowners and other clients, but the point I'm trying to get across to you is you have to be all that. If you want to charge the kind of money like you're all that, you have to be all that. That means that when they ask you to do something, it gets done. When you tell them you're going to do something, it gets done. It means that when the work that you do is completed, it doesn't come back later. It means that you're professional, it means that you communicate, and it means essentially, and it's a point I hit on this channel a lot, is essentially you have to learn how to treat yourself not like a person who is a handyman who is doing some work for another person in exchange for money. You need to learn to treat yourself and behave as if you're a business, because people trust businesses more than they trust people. And I don't mean this in a large overarching way. Obviously, we don't trust a large corporation more than we trust, let's say, our personal doctor that we've been seeing for 10 years. But what I'm saying is a personal relationship with a property manager, like a friendship, the little back and forth and laughing and joking, that's all great and that's going to help develop a rapport. But in the end, what you want to be viewed as that business, that solid business, that when this business or this homeowner knows that when they send work to this business, because it's a business, because it prioritizes making money, it's going to take the necessary steps not only to make the money today, but to keep that client on board to continue making money in the future. So you have to be on top of your game. Another thing you're going to need to do, other than have the clients and behave like a business so those clients keep you, is you're going to need skills. You can't just jump into this business. When you see these headlines, handyman makes $1,000 a day changing toilet flappers, that's not going to last, okay? It's just not. You need more skills than toilet flapper changing skills. What you need to do is you need to say yes to every job that you think you can do. And then you need to figure out how to make it happen, because none of you, I guarantee you, if you have all the skills already, you're not on this channel trying to figure out how to do this, because the experience it takes to gain those skills is the same experience that it takes to gain the knowledge of what those skills are worth. So you just need to trust me. If you're not already making that kind of money, it's because you don't yet have the skills. And there's nothing wrong, guys. The jobs list that I've made that's 5 or 6 pages long of every single possible job that you could ever be asked to do, that jobs list for property management. These aren't for like whole home interior paint, which happens to be on that list too. But I'm talking a breakdown of every specific task that I've ever done to the point that they're now repetitive, and I've done them all many, many times, and it's very rare for new tasks to show up. That list is 5 or 6 pages long. I had not done half of those jobs when I started this business 2.5 years ago. I've learned half of those jobs on the job. I've used YouTube, I've used books, I've called people that I happen to know who have specialized in these fields, I've asked the questions, I've bought the tooling, I've made the mistakes, I've lost the money, I've torn the job out and started over and done it again because I did it wrong, and I put in the time. I put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. I've missed 2 years of my family out of the 2.5. A good 2 years of that was me missing my babies growing up, not seeing them enough, not spending the time that I wanted to spend with my wife. This is not an easy thing to do. It took hard work to get to the point where I can confidently say, you send me a list of everything you need done on this house, and with the exception of 2 or 3 very specialized skills that I just know they need to hire out to somebody else, with those very few caveats, you send me that list and I'll get it done, and I will get it done because I've done it now. It's going to take hard work and it's going to take skill development, and you have to be serious about it. This is not a nonchalant, you can't just go in there and look at it and go, well, let's see, I've got these tools and I know about those products and I think I can make this happen. That's the kind of shit handyman that eventually stops receiving all of those work orders. You need to get in there and you need to do it right, and you need to do it right every time. And if that means you have to lose a little bit of money every now and then because you're essentially charging them for training time, and obviously you can't charge them for training time the way that you can for skilled labor. So that's what you need to do, and I'm sorry to get a little emotional about it, but it takes hard work. You're not going to be successful in this business if you aren't motivated to say, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be that guy that they cannot live without because they don't trust anybody else to come in and do what they know I'll do and do what I've shown them I'm going to do every single time. And the last thing you're going to need, guys, is processes. You need to be thinking while you're doing your work, while you're doing these jobs. You need to be paying attention to how you're doing it. You need to be paying attention to things like, how often am I going back and forth out of this house into the van? How often do I have to come from the upstairs bathroom, down the hallway, down the stairs, through the kitchen, next to the garage, out the door, into the van, climb into the back of the van, pick up a bunch of dirty bins full of all kinds of random stuff you didn't organize, dig through, find the one thing you need, go back upstairs, start working again, and then figure out the next thing that you needed because you didn't have a process in place. You need to pay attention to what you're doing on these jobs, and you need to start thinking about each individual job as a task that needs to be streamlined, and you need to ask yourself, what did I do right in this job and what did I do wrong in this job? Did I have to go to Home Depot? If I had to go to Home Depot, what did I go there for? Was it something that cost $6 that I could have planned ahead of time and had before I showed up and I just wasted an hour, a billable $100 an hour, just to go pick up a $6 something? Or did I think about it ahead of time? And make your notes, guys, and start thinking about these things, start putting together kits, make your notes, and start turning these individual tasks into processes. Start understanding off the top of your head. Start thinking back and going, last time I did a toilet I had this issue. In fact, I had this issue 3 times, and it always sucks an hour and a half out of my day when I do, an hour and a half of billable time that I could have been charging the same amount for the toilet, but finish in half the time so I can move on to the next job. What do I need to do to get better at this? So I'm not going to keep going on and on. I feel like y'all are getting the point, but I want to stress the idea that your goal should not be to make $1,000 a day. If that's what you're coming into this with, if you're coming in just with this dream of you in the future, picturing yourself just easily shooting around town, making $1,000 a day, guys, that can happen if and when you're in the right place at the right time, and if everything magically comes together. That can be part of your career at times, but that is not what is going to provide for your family, and that's not what's going to get you to respect yourself. Anybody can go out there and hack $1,000. I want you to be thinking of this in terms of a big thing that you're trying to do in life. You're going to be the best, your family's going to be provided for, and you're going to be the man who makes things happen. And I'm not saying I am. I'm saying I'm getting closer and closer every day. But I need y'all to start ignoring this idea of handyman makes $1,000 a day doing such and such. That's not how this business works. I want y'all to be truly successful in the long term. And by truly successful, I do mean $150,000 a year. Later on, hopefully $200,000 a year. Get some guys working for you and build this up and understand this industry, and the sky's the limit. But I want y'all to succeed, and I want to know that the information I give you when I make these videos is the information that you need the most, and it's the information that's going to keep these messages coming into me saying, hey, I'm succeeding. I changed my life. I was charging $40 an hour, now I'm charging $80 an hour. I could only find work to keep me busy 2 or 3 days a week, and now I have more than I know what to do with. I love you guys the way that I love all human beings, and I want everybody to succeed. So please take these words to heart. Please have fun making $1,000 a day. I enjoy them. I put them together, like I said, because sometimes I just need that little bump up to remind myself that what I'm doing is fun. But go make your money. Go take care of your families. And have a successful career. I hope y'all are all out there killing it, or I hope you're getting things put together so that you will be soon. But I love y'all, and please go make that money, sir.